Ras. The time has come for lions to tell I own story. Yes, you're listening to Lion's Voice. I is Ras Dr. hailing from the island of St. Croix. Yeah, I'm bringing to you Rastafari vibes. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Babylon born when Rasta come together. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Because Babylon done when I and I come together. Look how we live together, look how we work together, oh, Babylon done when Rasta come together. Haile Rastafari, His Majesty and Impressment and bless. Yeah man, hailing from St. Croix, Rastafari hail you.
Aye.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, ya. Them fully guard up and them quick fi execute, ya. Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, ya. The one will laugh, I'm same one of the shooter. Watching them, this is Rastafari representing for the Lion Voice Network. This is the time when the lion gets to tell our own story. HaileSelassieI.
I'm Nana Farika. The time has come for the lioness to tell her story from her viewpoint and tell the world who Queen Omega is. This is the lion's voice.
Greetings, this is Shiloh. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See? This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Shiloh said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. I'm all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
Alright, so continuing on with family, we're going to talk about the drums right now. The bass drum is the foundation. It gives off that frequency. It encompasses and surrounds and keeps the idea within a one place. It's always on the one. One sound, one mute. Alright, very important.
The more aware you are of yourself, the more you come to know yourself, the more mindful you are, okay, is the more skilled you become at using this powerful engine, which is your mind.
And then the resolution is like just finishing up the lessons now and just saying yes, and reminding people of the theme of your story. So, you know, the theme of this story was the importance of agriculture.
For the motherland, cradle of civilization, for the ancestors and their indomitable spirit, for the elders whom we can learn much, for the youth who represent our promise for tomorrow, for the people, the original people, for the struggle and remembrance of those who struggled on our behalf, for Umoja, the principle of unity that guides us in all we do, for the Creator who created all of the things great and small. We give thanks.
Let's go through the principles. The first one, blessed love and greetings. Welcome to day 5, our last day of camp. That's sad, right? Too short. Just when I started to have fun, it's over. But it's been fun, and we'll do this again next year, most definitely. Looking forward to seeing you all again, and stay connected after camp.
Government is trapping the system.
Jano, I'm so hungry, bro. I haven't eaten all day. Like, my head started to hurt me too. Like, what no could I eat right now?
What about a city samosa? Get your samosa, a fusion of Indian, Jamaican, and African culture. City samosas, the best samosas in the city.
Rastafari!
Them could never conquer the mountains. Thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again unto the world. Now we are announcing. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. Rastafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. Well, solar energy, that them a see. The whole city powered by the sun's energy. The road them make out of hemp and concrete. Neighborhoods full of fruit trees that taste sweet. The youths put down them guns, them harvest and a reap. The beautiful gardens will line every street. Tired of the bloodshed, them done with the beef. Not even animals feed them burn out the meat. Where people say Haile Selassie, I see Nile. When they see say him a treat the dirt like a child. Peace on earth from the banks of the Nile. That's why we giving thanks in style. Sister Babylon a weapon, them a stockpile. Babylon a wicked, kill them brother and smile. Lion, Babylon a reptile. Them a plant for shed blood, we got plans for the soil. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. Rastafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. No more gullies, proper sanitation. Proper toilets with proper filtration. Clean water for the youths them fi use. Our sons and daughters safe, no more child abuse. Africa arise, read it in the news. On the day when Rastafari ready, wicked have fi move. 3D printing alongside hem shoes. Herb get legalized, hard drugs them get refused. Well, people used to say they bring him man senile. True himself he tried it with man, woman and child. Himself peace on earth from the banks of the Nile. That's why we giving thanks in.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Chasmach Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Talk Live. Welcome to Lion Talk Live and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Tonight we have a very special episode, good brethren. Women know over 20 years, I think it's over 20 years. We're going to celebrate our theme. We have declared August as Pan-African History Month here on the Lion Voice Network. We made a unilateral decision for declare August because this month we're celebrating the Earth Strong of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We're going to have a special episode on Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We have Menelik II. We have Empress Taitu. And of course, we have Zeri Jacob as well, who His Majesty had appointed as Crown Prince. So a whole heap of important figures, Van Benjamin, Earth Strong, the great Van Benjamin as well. We have a whole heap of things in August that we can talk about. But I say, because of those three, specifically Marcus, Menelik II, Empress Taitu, is a good month to celebrate Pan-African history. You know what I mean? So stay tuned. I'm actually, I know that the regular Lion Pride members can see this is not my regular background. I'm on the road. I'm actually in Toronto, the city where I grew up, you know what I mean? And I'm here for the Rastafari International Conference. We're going to be bringing exclusive coverage from the conference, exclusive interviews. We're going to try to interview some of the panelists. We're going to get footage of some of the happenings. You know what I mean? We're going to create a special episode just on the conference. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned. Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media is here. Tonight, though, we're going to be talking about Black American luminary. We can call him that. Known for his writings on the Talented Tent. He's started as, I would say, an elitist, but really evolved into a Pan-Africanist. He's buried in Ghana. Him and Marcus never used to get along. Well, I'll talk about that too. But what I did not know before, my brethren who I'm bringing forward today, I did not know about his connection with Ethiopia, his connection with His Majesty, So I didn't know nothing about W.E.B, Dubois and that part. So tonight we're going to go deep into that history. Brethren has written a book. If you look in the description of this episode, you'll see the Amazon link. Lion Pride, don't embarrass I, because I want when my guests come on and them go and them see them product or service. We want to see it full up with Lion Pride who purchased the book. We want to put money in our guest's pocket. Please don't embarrass I. At least 100 of the items supposed to buy the book and make him feel some love. You see me I say? Because we are the greatest online community. We are write that history. We are speak it into existence, and we are getting ready to touch 50,000. We're getting ready to touch 50,000 subscribers. So we're not a small platform anymore. So we can't be moving like, say, we are like a small platform no longer. Lion Pride family. We are growing. So big up. And if you're watching this live, if you subscribe, you're part of the Lion Pride. Join. We're at 48,000 right now, but that number, I don't watch that number, because we love the hardcore supporters around here who really are putting the work and I deal with the thing on a level. I want to big up Tafari out of the VI, our newest member of the Lion Pride on Patreon. We're at 38 in Patreon. When we get to 50 in the Lion Pride on Patreon, we're going to start voting. We are going to be supporting a different Rastafari cause every month, and we'll vote in our town hall meetings, and we're going to send a monetary strength, and also we'll interview the organizers, and we'll choose, and you can submit if you're part of the Lion Pride on Patreon, if you know ones who are deserving. I know so many works that are, not getting the attention, that are not, that are lacking investment. So as we get bigger as a platform, we're going to be investing forward into the community. We're going to sponsor events. We're going to show up, not just with camera to capture, but we want to drop some wagga money upon them too. In due season, we're not there yet. So join the Lion Pride on Patreon if you want to be about action within the movements. Join the Lion Pride on Patreon. Let me also big up the Ubuntu Lion Pride. Let me hold on there. Let me we have a new person in our Ubuntu Lion Pride, Rastafari Health, Trade and Culture Circle. Big up Sister Sheba, who is our latest. We have now 11 members of the Ubuntu Lion Pride, and the Ubuntu Lion Pride right now, if you give a one-time contribution of over $100 US, anything over 100, you can drop 10,000 pounds with too if you want to do that. Anything over 100 gets you up as a part of the Ubuntu Lion Pride. And this distinction is lifetime. So no matter how big the channel get, you will always be memorialized. When we get a physical space, it will be immortalized on one of the walls or some type of installation. But we're building. These are the ones who see the vision and are investing. And that $100 is going to keep on going up. One day it might be 5,000, it might be 10,000 for be on Ubuntu. So get it now while it's still low at $100. And you get a lifetime. I want to just show some love to Sister Aishiba. She has done it on behalf of her business. So I want to just play. She sent me this. Let's get some hold on. I'm flying solo, so take time with me. My producer, my queen, is not here with I right now, so take time with me. I want to play this. This is I think it's a well-known YouTuber who visited her shop. So this is I want to play this quickly. Sister Aishiba, the latest member of our Ubuntu Lion Pride in Barbados, representing for the Ital. So let's watch her business.
Hey guys, let's get some Ital in Barbados. So I got lunch from the Ital shop on Tweedside Road. I had to wait in line for maybe about 5 minutes. When I got to the front, they were really friendly and they were happy to answer all my questions. This is their information in case anybody wants it. So I ordered a small soup, 2 fries and a coconut water, and in total it came to $25 Barbados. The coconut water literally tasted so sweet and fresh, I just couldn't stop drinking it. The soup, I would say, was actually quite big considering it was a size small, and it had so many different things in there. I honestly can't even list them all, but there was at least 2 different types of peas. I think it was red beans and lentils, and there was like eggplant, there was broccoli, there was pumpkin, there was some wholemeal dumplings and lots more things. And up at the counter they have the choice between like regular pepper sauce or homemade pepper sauce, so I put some of the homemade one. I really liked the wide variety of things in the soup, it made it kind of interesting, and I liked the fact that it wasn't really watery. It was like really packed with ingredients, so it was actually really filling. So this is what is called a fry in lots of Ital shops. So you can see there are some peas in there too. Obviously I would say these are a bit less healthy than the soup because obviously they are fried, but I really love them. I forgot to say there are about 4 tables I think in there with about 3 or 4 chairs on each table, so quite a lot of places to sit, but I would say most people that came in seemed to be getting takeaway. So I finished all my food and then I actually also ended up interviewing the owner, so you can watch that as a separate TikTok.
So the item can see say Rastafari Health, Trade and Culture Circle has joined our Ubuntu Lion Pride family. Big up Sister Aishiba out of Bardong. All of the Bardong family, them big up on yourself. Let's hear a little bit from Sister Sheba and then we'll get into our guest for the evening. we're creating an ecosystem, Rastafari commerce. You know what I mean? This is one of the reasons why we build the Rastafari platform is so.
So I'm here in Barbados. I just ate some
Have our
Ital
own.
food from Ashiba's Ital shop, which is called Rastafari Health, Trade and Cultural Circle.
Yes.
On Tweeside Road, right?
That's correct.
So I actually first came here maybe like 7 years ago or something, but it's my first time coming in a long time. So how long has this shop been here?
We're going on now 16 or more years.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
And how did it start out? Did you used to maybe sell food elsewhere and then you came here to sell food?
Actually, yes. We used to ply our trade from our vehicle and move around the island.
Oh.
But then the demand was so much and we wanted to have a stationary place, so here we are.
Yeah. Well, yes. I can see the demand is still high because there's always a line here,
Always
right?
a line, always welcoming customers.
Yeah. And what time, you know, it's just lunch, right?
We open from 11:30 daily and we close for 5. Yes.
Okay, cool.
And we try to be on time. We source most of our food from local farmers, and it's all strictly Ital, prepared right here. Yes.
And like in your life, what made you start eating Ital? Is that how you were raised, or did something happen to make you start eating
Ital is a part of the Rastafari liberty. It's who we are. We like natural things, we like natural foods, and we prefer healthy foods. So this is our option from the Caribbean region.
Yeah, but you were raised like your family are all
regular. No, my family, I wasn't raised as Rastafari.
So how did you end up?
I was raised in a traditional country family, having a farm, keeping animals, keeping pigs, doing everything that country girls do. That's how I was raised.
So how did you end up changing, like finding?
You know, as you grow older and you make your health choices, and also you make your cultural choices. Rastafari is my cultural way of life. So they both mesh beautifully together.
And what would you say to the people who, because as a vegan I often hear this, the people who are like, oh, you're not going to get enough protein, you're going to be really skinny. Like, what would you say to people who have those kind of doubts about
I like that
vegan
one
food?
because I always say our biggest animals are vegans.
Yeah.
And they're big and they're strong and they're vegan. You just have to know how to balance your diet.
Yeah.
On a serious note, you have to know how to balance your diet.
Yeah. And do you have any exciting plans coming up?
Yes, currently I'm preparing for Ital Fest in St. Vincent. Vincy crew, I'm seeing you very soon. We'll be over there to cook our delicious Ital on the 23rd of August. This year, we'll be in St. Vincent. So look out for us. Ital Fest, we'll be there.
Okay, nice. I'm very jealous I can't go. But yeah.
Please, you're welcome. They'd love to have you over there as well. See if you can come. They will love that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, it was nice talking to you.
Zoe, thanks for coming and thanks for sharing with your worldwide audience. Rastafari love.
On Tweeside Road, right?
That's correct.
All right. So you see what we're building here, the Rastafari ecosystem. If you have a business, Rastafari Pan-African business, you want to highlight your business here, very good to become a Ubuntu Lion Pride, and you know what I mean, support the ecosystem. We have to build an economic base. That's one of the things about attaining true power as a people, having that economic base, having an audience that supports that economic base. Yes, we can chant, yes, we can do all of those other things, but we have to share the Rastafari dollar. And as I said that, from I bring up this guest, you know, I want the guest cash up a ring because we want sell this book. We don't just want talk about the book and we're not supporting the book. All right, so Mecca and I support the efforts. All right, so I am really looking forward to this. As I said, I've known this brethren from I was in law school, you know what I mean, years and years. You know, him and his brother are like family to I and I. We know him youths, them watch his youths grow up, his wife, you know, he know my youths, he know my queen from before she had youth. So this goes way forward, you know what I mean, into the history. One of the founding members of IDOR, the Anniversary Development of Rastafari, works upon works, the Elder Medical Project in Ethiopia. You know, this is a pioneering bridge when it come on to works within the Livity. And we're gonna hear about that. You know, we have to take a trip in the Lion Talk time machine and them something there. So we're gonna go into the works, but then we're gonna go into W.E.B. Dubois, someone that we don't really talk about as Rastafari, but I think after this interview, there's going to be a renewed interest. Just put on your camera when you're ready, Rasween, and we're going to get into this one. This one is going to be a classic. Me feel the energy. Let us know where you're watching from as well, please. In the comment section, let us know where you're tuning in from. We'll also be taking questions in the comment section, so we will be interactive. I'm just trying to sort out. We look like we have a little technical issue. It's saying device not connected. See if you can sort that out. Maybe I have to go in and come back out. Yes. All right. So we're working out that little technical difficulty. And one of the reasons I, put all of the housekeeping and thing at the beginning of the episode is so we have little time to work out these things. Wi-Fi the guy sometime, we'll try creeping. I'm not at home. I'm actually in Toronto right now. As you can see, this is not the regular settings. So we are going to get into this. This is going to be one of them Islaful episodes. While we wait for the guests to forward and fix up the technical issue, big up Frontline Books, big up Brother Carl Philpotts, big up all of the sponsors who support, the movements and the energy. We are on the move. We're building something special. I see the comments bubbling already. George Trusty said, well. FBA right out of World War I went to Ethiopia to help them fight against the Italians, even started Ethiopian Airlines and their Air Force. The Emperor promised land, you Rastafarian stole. Oh, you come with that energy from early? Why you come with that energy, George Trusty? You come look a war. Why is it that anytime I see FBA is people looking war, but nobody never look any war with the eyes? So why you come on this platform? This is a platform that you're gonna get frustrated if you're looking for a war. If you want a reason, we're here to reason. But if you come here looking for war, you're gonna frustrate yourself because we don't pay that no mind. If you have something good to contribute, we welcome the eye, to the reasoning. But if you come here with the FBA propaganda, you're not going to be thing, because we have Black Americans here all the time reasoning, and with our unity we deal with over here. So I don't know what experience you have on the internet, but that is not what we support over here. We are about the unity, and if you keep pushing the division, then we just label you as a divide and rule. And we put you in the category with Pope Leo and the CIA and all them people there over there, so we just block you because we don't have time for that right now. All right? Give thanks. So as long as you know where you are, we can have a great reasoning. Black Americans shed blood in Ethiopia. The emperor promised them land. What did you guys do over there? You guys just walked in and got land. You guys did not fight against the Italian. Who are you calling guys? Why George Trusty? Seem like him come and look at war. Rasween, there I can turn on your camera, and we did a check, and the technology was working. I don't know what is going on. The powers. I wonder if it's a sabotage, because we were early. We did our check, but we don't panic over here. We know that things will happen. Let me hear what Trustee is saying. Black Americans shed blood in Ethiopia. The emperor promised them land. You guys just go with it. Okay, I read that already. Fast forward. Chuck is taking our history out of Smithsonian land. You mean Trump? All right. Freeway Dread Lion Pride on Patreon is here. Big up on yourself. Lion Pride on Patreon. We're working out some technical issue. I'm not sure what is happening, because as I said, we did our sound check early from 7:30. everything was clean and pretty and nice. And now I'm not sure. But we're not gonna panic. Raswayne, just go out, come back in, and see if that works. Yeah, we don't panic over here. We've been doing this for a while, so we know what going on. Unity Zone. Freeway, please talk to George Trusty and tell him that we don't do that over here. You know what I mean? We have Black Americans over here. We have Black Caribbean people. We have Black people from the continent. Obviously, you're not familiar with Rastafari liberty. You know what I mean? We stand for the Pan-African ideal. You know what I mean? We's not part of that division. And if you come with a divide and rule tactics, you know what I mean, I'm going to ask the eye to leave electronically by just blocking the eye. So if you want to stay and participate in the reasoning and drop facts, and let me say this, if you want to challenge, we also love that too. You know, once you're respectful, you bring some facts. This is not an echo chamber. We agree to disagree. Because even if you have good brethren, you shouldn't agree on everything. So we're not anti-disagreement either, because my closest brethren, I disagree with them all of the time. So that's not an issue. But if you come over here with this divisive rhetoric and divide and rule, and you want someone to take you on, we don't have time to waste with that. This is Armageddon. And if you're looking at your black brother as your enemy right now, when we know you're an agent, and we just get rid of you because we don't even have time to go into that. We are, if you're on this platform, if you're part of the Lion Pride, we don't know the divide and rule. We're done with that. That's boring. It's petty. We don't have time for that. So step up your reasoning. This is high level reasoning on this platform. Rastafari, you know what I mean, vibration is positive. You know what I mean? So we're not here to compete with anybody. We're here to do the work. You know what I mean? So that is where we are. So please and thank you. Just know, say, we gotta do what we gotta do. All right, let me see if you fix up your reasoning. The European Union is pissed off about Burkina Faso's passport. Now they are complaining about blacks wanting to go back to Africa. Now they can't make up their mind. See, that's a better reasoning, George. I like that reasoning there. You know what I mean? That's how we think that, right? That's how you can, you know, give us some facts, contribute, you know, two things, put them in the chat. We love that over here, but the coming over here, you guys and all of that don't make no sense to I, you know what I mean? Because of all of the enemies that black people have right now, my black brother is not the one I'm preparing myself to go deal with. You understand? And if a man is dealing with that, as I say, I just label him as an agent. So if you're over here, just come with a unity vibe. We love the eye, you know what I mean? And if you go into the Lion Log, you'll see enough American-born Rastafari on this platform. You know, some of my closest brethren are born on this soil, and we just have a unity amongst we, you know, from them time there. So don't, please, come on this platform and tell your friends them, this is not the platform for that divisive talk. Freeway Dread, it's I and I job to preserve the history, not complain about it. Freeway Dread know the fullness, because he's Lion Pride on Patreon. All right, watch how we trample on Pope Leo. Watch how we are going to trample on Pope Leo now. Watch this. You think we panic when things happen? I just go and call my brethren for the item, you know, because the item, you know, look like you want see the guests. All right. Royal blessings. Sound check.
Audio. Can I hear my lord?
Yes, I give thanks.
Yeah.
Guys on the phone.
I have to be. I don't know what is happening on the computer.
Can you switch it this way?
Of course.
Yes, and make sure it's on auto rotate. Yeah, bingy. There we go. We don't panic. We do not panic over here. We just bubble the sip nice and make it marinate. And that's what I love about the Lion Pride audience. We know the thing go. Wi-Fi, the guy come in, different people try come in, and you know, but we don't panic over here. We just work with the program. I'm trying to educate my brother George Trusty in the comments here. He came in with a FBA division, and I hope he's educated because him start clean up him reasoning. You know what I mean? Let me see if George clean up him reasoning. That's not just that. How to mute you for a second because you're giving me a word salad. I can't talk to you decently. I'm on the government naughty list. They're messing with me, trying to communicate with you. Look like George. I don't know. George, you have a little time to clean up your thing because we're not going to get distracted with the eye tonight. All right? All right. So let's get into the program. I have Dr. Ras Rose. Blessing my brother. Please, we have a tradition here called the Lion Talk Time Machine. And I'm going to ask the eye to step into the Lion Talk Time Machine to take us to the moment of your birth. Where were you born? I want the eye to paint a picture of the origin story of Ras Wayne and then take us to your journey to Rastafari.
Oh, give thanks, Honorable the Jazz Match Kwasi. Give thanks for the moments. Yeah, man, I am Ras Wayne Rose. I was reincarnated in the island of Jamaica. One of those beautiful fall season. On my particular earth strong, they call that day the Day of the Living. Some people say the Day of the Dead. Some people say it's Halloween. But because we know that we're here in the physical flesh, you know, we're not hollow in any way. And we're certainly not dead because I defend life ever living. Jamaica, the island of I am and reincarnation, the era in the very mid portion of the 1960s. Yes, and you know, went to primary school, was one of them students who skipped multiple grades. 4 to 6, and you know, graduated at the tender age of 16. From the renowned Kingston College.
KC.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Did very well, notwithstanding being a what people call, you know, one of those provocateurs, or someone who was seen by some of the teachers as very rebellious.
Yes.
Because I was not a conformist. Grew up as a Christian.
Yes.
So part of the narrative is an important part because there's so much lessons that I'm learned in that process.
Yes.
And as would be consistent, I was chased out of the church, consistent with my rebellious nature. In fact, the verbatim words of the pastor was, "Don't come back until you repent." And I said, "But I thought it was church that you repent." But he said I should not return.
And let them know the type of church. I know this history, you know, because I was blessed to all meet him mother and them things there. So I know, let them know, because a strong church tradition too.
Yes. And it was a learning space. It was a 7-day church of God.
Yes.
You know, use language that would undermine, because there's so much good things that occurred in that space. Some bad also. But it was a preparation ground, because that's where I found it necessary to hear my voice, you know, to speak. I was called upon many times to read from the Bible. I have some vocal capabilities, so I was called on many times to sing. It gave I a presence and the confidence to stand in front of many people and talk. And I was called on to exhort my colleagues, you know, during them periods of time. But safe to say, by 1983, I was no longer a member of the church, was not welcomed in that brand of Christianity, and started an entirely new journey where I, you know, went even to the place you are right now in Canada. Did a
Okay.
youth exchange program representing Kingston and St. Catherine on the Canadian World Youth Program with the Social Development Commission in Jamaica.
Okay.
I was, they call it Boy of the Year. That's the Youth of the Year for the parish of Kingston in the mid-1980s. And, you know, was very actively involved in the SDC, Social Development Commission's multiple programs during that period of time. I was a youth club president at 15 and was mobilized in the Mandela Youth Club in Spanish Town. We did some extraordinary work, and based on even the very name of that youth club, when I applied for the youth exchange program, I was nearly disqualified, I was told, because at that time, many of our people were socialized to see Nelson Mandela as the British and the Americans framed him to be.
Oh.
And so, you know, it was part of a conversation that in the interview, after I finished disclosing why Mandela and why it's important to our heritage, I guess they allowed me on the program.
Okay.
Yeah, man, but the journey has been an extraordinary one. I was an accountant auditor at KPMG Pete Marwick in Jamaica, worked there for a number of years, made some important links and learned a lot about why I didn't want to be an accountant.
Yes.
Because, you know, we have a thing called materiality in accounting, and 5% was not as material. But if you imagine, I was looking at many documents and I saw every year some people were siphoning off 5%.
Okay.
And when I called and I said, but, you know, look at what the 5% represents. I said, it's not material, don't worry about it. But every year it was happening. So, you know, in 10 years, you know, you take, it's 50%, and sometimes it's millions of dollars. So I said, this is a very corrupt system.
Yes, yes.
Ultimately, though, you know, I got an opportunity, was involved in Jamaican youth politics, not because I was politically inclined, but because I have a mouth and I speak out, and I went to those political spaces. And at the time, that space was dominant in Jamaican politics.
Yes, yes.
But they had no money in their account as the youth arm of that space. I said, how come you're the youth arm of the governing entity and, you know, you have no money? So the man who was president said, you have a mouth, what you can do about it? So I said, if you give me a moment, I'll tell you 10 ways you could make 10 times what you have. They had $300 plus in their account at the time. And I said, I could make that 10 times. And he said, well, tell me an idea. And I gave him one. It was a bus trip where we pick up people representing that particular party.
Yes.
Pick them up on the way to Puerto Rico Beach.
Yes.
And at the end of the trip, we had over $3,000, which was 10 times what they had in their account. Okay. And then they made me the assistant treasurer of that organization. I'm telling you this not to link myself politically, but to say based on that, a lot of things occurred.
Yes. And I want the to shout out the community that you're from, because I want people to know that people from these communities can achieve much, you know what I mean? And a lot of Jamaicans watch. We have a big following in Jamaica too. So I want to shout out your community that you were born and growing, you know?
Give thanks, Honorable. Yeah, man, I was born in the heart of West Kingston, where you'd call, it was Orange House at the time. Today it's Tivoli Courts, where the Ebenezer Clinic is, and it goes right into Bustamante Highway there, you know, where, I mean, this whole area was before then was actually called Egypt.
Okay.
By our community who were congregated there. And it is partly this area that was demolished in 1966.
Yes.
To make way for Tivoli Gardens and the building of Tivoli Gardens.
That is why I shout out, because I know the history deep, you know. But
yes, it's a very rich and profound history. I went to primary school at St. Albans Primary, that is off Albert Street in Denham Town. You know, so that's part of my community too. And every afternoon I was in Rima, or
Yes.
what many people know today, in part Trenchtown,
Yes.
walking the roads of Jungle, Rima, and Trenchtown,
Yes.
having friends and colleagues there. And in fact, just because it's so important to the month that you speak of,
Yes.
this is where I learned off and became a Gaviite at that primary school at about age 9.
Okay.
Because what we used to do at primary school is every Heroes Day, or the period where we have the Heroes Day, there would be badges, buttons issued to primary school children of the national heroes. And so I got a Marcus Garvey button.
Okay.
And a friend of mine got a Bustamante button. But the community he lived in was a Bustamante community.
Yes,
in
of
a political
course.
sense. But he came to me, wanted to trade his Bustamante button for a Marcus Garvey button. So I was curious. I said, why? And he said, but Garvey's the greatest black man and greatest Jamaican we produce. This is a 9-year-old child saying this to me. And I pick him up here in this Horace booth. I've not spoken to him for maybe 40 years.
Wow.
Yes, but Horace Booth was a young man who said that to me. And I said, nah, man, you're not going to get my button then. Because if I agree, man, I go hold up on it. Come hold up on the Garvey button. And from that time, I've been a Garveyite.
Okay.
Learning about the man, learning about this great history and legacy.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, man, we big up all the man from Denham Town, all the man from Tivoli Gardens, from Bakawal, because that was what the original
Exactly.
name was.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we moved into Spanish Town, into St. Catherine, into the Willowdene, St. John's Road link areas. And part of my childhood, very distraught, if you could imagine, leaving Kingston, going into St. Catherine in the 70s.
Okay.
Which was a lot of bush and maca.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, but it was all maca and bush, and it wasn't a very pleasant energy for a 11-year-old young man at the time. But nonetheless, I made some connections, and this is where my activities outside of church, my community activities began, because by 13 plus, I was involved in youth clubs and was involved in the leadership of youth clubs.
Yes.
It's from that I got this link into the SDC and the energies I spoke about earlier, becoming a representative for the nation and representing the nation in Canada.
Yes.
And other spaces. So we give thanks, and then we ultimately came into the United States in 1990 to date myself, 35 years. We always look at it in reflection.
Yes.
And coming into the US, it was just one objective, and that is to do good and to make good of the space, because it's not that we came to the US because we were suffering and we wanted the opportunities that it offered. It became another ground where we could.
All right. Wi-Fi, the guy. It looked like he's going to be joining us this interview. But you know how we do it here, family. We don't panic. We don't. We just bubble in the sip. And as you can see, the history is so rich and vital. Right there, right? So, yes,
Honorable. Yeah, man.
Continue.
Yeah, man. So it's just a joy, because we come into the United States, and immediately as we came, we faced some challenges. Immediately we're talking about, like the night we land.
Oh, wow.
Pick I up. And I had to sleep in the airport. And that night I made a pledge that I am going to make something of this experience.
Okay.
And prove that this land is conquerable, just in terms of my own experience. And so, it was some of those self-determinations that brought I on this journey. And, I was in that, what they call the Big Apple, for a few months.
Okay.
And from Big Apple and the experiences, what I experienced, what I witnessed of our people in the Big Apple, I was very disappointed.
Oh.
Because, growing up in our region, Jamaica, you had some kind of expectation. It was
America,
the
yes.
idea was sold to us about what America is like. And when I saw people of my heritage and just people in general begging in the subways and living in squalid environments and smelling the stench of the people pissing in the street and all different kinds of things. We experienced these things. That's why I ran away from New York and came to Baltimore. Because it was called the city that reads.
Yes.
And it had a black mayor at the time, Kurt Schmoke, and I was very proud to be part of that environment.
Yes.
But New York also had a black mayor at that time when I came in. It was David Dinkins.
Yes.
Another energy. But, so the experiences started there. And then being one who grew up with entrepreneurial parents, my father never worked for anyone. My mother worked with my father, so it was a co-led team.
Yes.
We had this notion of just self-empowerment. So even though I tried to continue the journey in the accounting field, I was an accountant at Essex Community College in the very early 1990s. Essex is part of the Community College of Baltimore County today. But even that is where I started my entrepreneurial endeavors from that experience. And branched off and started my own business, which I ran for 21 years.
Yes.
As a healthcare staffing agency, hiring nurses, LPNs, RNs, CNAs, GNAs, and respiratory therapists. In the 21 years, over 3,000 employees.
Yes.
They were part-time, so they were not running 3,000 payrolls every strong, but we had at certain points over 100 plus people just paying on a weekly basis. So we did that for 21 years. And, on the transition of our own mother, we ended that episode of our life. And before we ended that episode, we did a master's degree in history, which is my first love.
Yes.
At the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And then we approached Morgan and say, we're a mature student. We'd love to do the Ph.D., what is required. And the good chair of the department at the time said, well, you have everything that is required. Just put in the application. And I said, yeah. She said, yeah. And I said, let me do that. And I did it.
Okay.
And from there, though, and it kind of feeds into our conversation on Dr. Dubois.
Stick up in before we get there. Were you Rastafari when you came to America? And then I also want to know, what is your first memory of seeing a Rastafari brethren or sister from Jamaica?
Give thanks for the question. So I am Rastafari.
Yes,
and people speak of it in the context of becoming and being, but
manifestation.
I am.
Yes.
As I said earlier, grew up in the church, kicked out of the church, and did all the things that young people do. At the College of Arts, Science and Technology, CAS, now UTech,
yes,
I ran the biggest parties.
Yes.
After the end of semester, I would have the biggest parties. Anyone who know Wayne Rose at CAS know that I put on the biggest parties for 3 years, 85 through 88.
Okay.
Yes. So I did all the youthful things, and it was exciting back then. I loved to dance, unapologetically so.
Yes.
Yeah, but it wasn't the New York experience that make I go inside.
Okay.
Pulling out from myself, because I grew up. Another piece I left off is that I grew up at 82 and a Spanish Town Road, leaving the Denham Town, West Kingston Energy, and going a little bit further across from where West Best is. That's the area where we have examination deep when people drive there for their license, etc. So there's a road that goes down. It's called Boat Island, and multiple lanes, big lane, little lane, all them things. Big up Danny Bantan, our brother who is renowned in Jamaica and from that area.
Yes.
But yeah, man, leaving that area is where that's the area we left from to Spanish Town.
Okay.
But in that space was a Rasta man.
Okay.
And this man is just peace and love. Love me youth. you know, give you like a piece of this or like a piece of that. And it was always just very enticing and it was like a marvel, because this man now is supposed to be different, but he's really the icon. He was the icon in my mind.
Okay.
Because he represented a space of safety, just based on his own demeanor, just based on his conduct, how he present himself.
Yes.
So it was a safe space, and not to mention, because he used to have some things as well. He have a machete. Yes. If you want some safety, a machete man, you want to go to. You know, he was a man then would say, "Loud the youth, man," and yeah.
Yes.
Because by the time I'm growing up, you have people infiltrating the community with political agendas and recruiting young people to become vanguards of the community.
Yes.
And then if you're a vanguard or a protector of the community, you'll have to get something to protect the community.
Yes.
So outside of what my mother did very well, because my parents were well known in the community, my mother is known as a Christian. And so that part was partly what exempted us from some of the recruitment, because they would have said, "No, man, I Miss Rose on that," or Sister Rose on that. So they allow you a little bit, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, the Rasta man. That's my first memory of a Rasta.
Do you remember his name?
No. But with him was also a brother named Wesley, who lived next door to us. And Wesley was of the same composure. You would call him, as Father Marcus would say, a comb son.
Yes, yes.
Yep. So Wesley always, you know, look out for you. And he was the Idi Amin black. Beautiful.
Yes.
Yes. Very beautiful black, and, you know, representing that hue that is just the spirit and energy of humanity.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. So that was the first memory of Rastafari. And, you know, we continued to evolve, you know.
Yeah, so, it's funny you say that, because one of the reasons I asked this question to all the guests is because I want to demonstrate how livity impacts people, because most of the guests, when I ask that question, will have a memory of a particular race or some particular races whose way of life sparks something within them. And this is why, you know, we really emphasize to our brethren, the way you live, don't feel like nobody's watching. There are little youths, there are people that are around you that are taking in everything that you're doing, and they are going to sprout later down the line. So it's so essential, and that's why I like to bring out these stories, because it's by the livity, it's not by shot. Because the last man never hold a knife to your neck and say, "Boy, you have a ras," you know what I mean? I'm gonna take you out. Is by his living, and then it didn't even sprout until in New York now. It's India, you know, but it coming out now. You have this identification of this man of peace in your volatile community who was holding a different order. So I love that story. Now you can bring us up to the Marga and the transition there.
Give thanks, Honorable. Yeah, man. So on the educational space, in the educational realm, you know, we did a master's at both masters and undergrad at UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And I decided, and I want to just put this on the record, because I was among one of the first brethren who spoke to her about His Majesty's 1954 visit.
Yes.
Yeah, I was aligned with another brother at some other energies, and even Ras Shion, and, you know, others. But I remember that explicitly, that I had made mention of this, and it sparked a curiosity in I during that period of time, and that curiosity never died. So when I had the opportunity to do a master's, I wanted to look at that relationship between African Americans and Ethiopia.
Okay.
And that is the very basis and topic of my thesis.
Yes.
The African American relations, Ethiopian African American relations. Very prominent in that was Dubois.
Okay.
And in fact, just to rebuke our current structures a little bit,
yes,
I did an undergraduate degree in Africanist studies. And in that undergraduate degree, I never saw mention in Africana studies. Never heard mention of Ethiopia or
Wow.
Haile Selassie the First.
That's
And I
almost
never
criminal.
even in writing.
Yeah, that's almost, I feel the same way when I was at law school studying international law and not seeing anything about the emperor. And then I remember I broke up a paragraph about the League of Nations and collective security in one of the law books. And I said, this is a criminal. You know, this is when you talk about people being extra, you know, taken out of the history. You know what I mean? What they are saying kind of confirm that this is a deliberate, you know, kind of vibration, how a man like his mind and how a place like Ethiopia is not prominently featured in, you know, international law, in Africana studies. It kind of puzzling, you know, but continue.
Yes, and give thanks even for that sound, because what it did then, though, was to give I the opportunity to be the groundbreaker in context. And so some work is waiting on, just as we say, Africa awaits its creators and its creation.
Yes.
Well, there's some work waiting for us if we prepare ourselves for it. But I had to go through that whole metamorphosis, moving from accounting, moving from running a business in the model I was running it, where it consumed everything about me, to get into what the mission had to be at this time. And so I was able to bring that newness. As you know, most research is incumbent upon some new contribution.
Yes.
So to bring that as a contribution to the department, it was interesting, and you know, it earned me that master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And when I applied to Morgan, I decided I wanted to continue on that trajectory in terms of the African American Ethiopian relations.
Yes.
But the more I looked at it, you know, I'm doing my research though to prepare myself to do a prospectus for the Ph.D. program.
Yes. Yes.
And here it is in the research. I found a letter written 1930 by a man called W.E.B. Dubois.
Hot.
And not to go through the letter in its entirety, but to tell you what it concluded. The letter concluded, "I am your Majesty's obedient servant."
Hot.
I said, Dubois? Because, you know, we grew up in Jamaica like everyone else. I am Rasta as the Rastaman family and the Rasta community. I am Pan-African as they get, and I will define my own Pan-African ethos.
Yes.
But to hear about Dubois calling himself, this man is a wordsmith, this man is the father of American sociology, this man is a historian, he's an aloof.
Genius. He's a genius.
I'm just saying, all the positive and negative things people talk about him, but never once would I have imagined that this man would call himself His Majesty's obedient servant.
Hot.
So before I learned all of what that meant in terms of, you know, honorifics and all of this, it just struck me dumb. So what else could this man have written about His Majesty? About, did he provide service? What is this servant thing about? What is this obedience about?
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking at Dubois more carefully. And going deep into, and the thing is, and this is the beauty of this kind of work, is that the information exists, and it has existed for as long as anybody who looked for it wanted it. It was right there when I was doing my research. All of this was just it. Dubois has a whole library at the University of Massachusetts Amherst.
Okay.
A whole special collection section where all his papers are.
Wow.
So I was so immersed in that I could not get enough. I'm writing so much that some of them can't be completed yet, and I have to now be trying to prioritize, because Jamaica, for instance, one of the things that's coming next from Ras Wayne is that there's a relationship, a very intimate relationship, not just about the Garvey conflict,
yes,
but about how we reconcile Pan-Africa within the context of the Garvey
legacy and W.E.B. Du Bois, because ultimately, as we will learn, those who get the book will know.
Hold on, stick a pin. I want the people order the book right now, you know. I want the people order the book. All right, continue.
So give thanks for the insistence on the order. I'm very much interested in people not ordering the book for my economics, which I can always do it, but for the edification, because there are some serious things the man said about Ethiopia and some predictions he made in multiple writings about the condition that we would find ourselves in today in 2025 if we did not link ourselves to that royal heritage of Ethiopia and make some significant contributions to its development. Yes? And all of those things I can tell you now, some sadly have come to pass because we have not been linked to that rich heritage. We have not been linked to that narrative of empowerment and glory. We have instead taken on what the media continues to feed us about disempowerment and victimization. And the man himself, yes, very early, we're talking about the beginning of the 20th century, saying to us, is Ethiopia stupid? It's Ethiopia first. Yes? So, you know, I was very thrilled to start, and I had no fear or challenges in my socialization about what it would mean. I know we'd get some fire, but fire must always be justified.
Yes,
and if you're burning the fire, then, you know, be prepared to get a little hazing of the fire yourself. You know, so I happily learned about this contribution from this man. And then the responses I started getting once people start tapping into, you know, the narrative and the research, and everyone is saying, Raswin, this is a book. Nobody knows about this.
Yes.
My whole dissertation committee is saying, we can't wait for the book. When you're putting out the book, you need to do it right now. Even at my defense, people were saying that to me.
Wow.
So I took some time, I examined and re-examined, and then thankfully, Brother Robbie Shilliam, who was responsible for a Black internationalism series of publications, said, Raswin, this fits right in the series. Why not let us work to make this happen? And I said, of course, Brother Robbie. And so I'm giving credit to everyone who is deserving of that credit, having that link done, and it is a lot of work, my goodness, but it was very rich and meaningful, because what we've put forward in this publication, this is how the publication looked, by the way. Yes, it's W.E.B. Du Bois, Ethiopianism and Black internationalism, a new interpretation of the global color line, because ultimately what Du Bois sought to represent, and a lot of people have all different kind of narratives, and all of them might be true, but the specific thing I found in his agenda was find a model of Black prestige and dignity that African Americans could link to, that elevates their consciousness, because he already knew that we had talent, great, but that we'd always be locked into the mindset of slavery and the victimization that whole process has put us through. So he wanted to give us, and this is what his search was about. And in fact, just to give a little kernel, one of the things he said about Jamaica, and Garvey in particular, that a lot of people don't know.
Okay.
That they never called Garvey him, but if you know what he was talking about, as I have done the research to see, he was talking about Garvey and the Garvey movement. He said that these people of the island perhaps will become the Ethiopians who stretch their hands out unto us, the Black Americans, for our salvation and liberation. And I'm paraphrasing, yes? But he said, he wrote this and spoke of it in 1921, in the midst of what he would call the conflict between him
the Right Honorable Marcus Massa.
I was going to ask you. Let's stick a pin right there, because I want you to just give us a history. Who is W.E.B? Because we're assuming that our audience, and one of the things about this platform is that a little girl in Zambia might go on YouTube and she's citing a Farai, or a little boy in Zimbabwe, and he never heard of W.E.B. Du Bois, and it sounds interesting, but who are we talking about? Give us a history. Who is W.E.B. Du Bois, and why should Black people around the world know who this man was? Give us just a brief kind of synopsis of who the man was.
So let's start from the notion of his work, because his childhood is a rich childhood, but it was one of those childhood that is isolated. He was born in Massachusetts, and grew up in a multi-ethnic, multiracial community. A lot of his friends were Irish people. His family was part Haitian on one side of his family. And of course, he had a whole mixture in terms of the dynamic that is today America, the melting pot phenomena. He represented that. But he was born in 1868. That's 3 years after the signing of the Emancipation Declaration. So I'm framing that for those who know what that represented. Yes. In terms of the enslavement of African people right here in the Americas, the notion that through this Emancipation Declaration, those enslaved, Black people in the states that still had people enslaved were now emancipated. And it was just a whole energy of mobilization. And nobody asked the question, for instance, after you're emancipated, what happens? After you are said to be free in the context of your human existence, what are you free to do? And how are you going to do it? What are your resources? What are the guidelines? How do you function? All of this now has to be mimicked by the people who are free within the structure of a new society. Because although our people were long functioning, some of them freed people functioning, doing business, all different kinds of things, we're now talking about the mass of people, including called Dubois and his family. Yes. Who are now going to, although not having the experiences of the American South, he did move south, did his undergrad work in the South, learned about himself and his culture and the dynamism of the culture. But ultimately, based on his level of brilliance, which I see in your children, I see in my children, I see in all young people, this before they're conformed within certain structures, they're just brilliant. Yes. And then we restrict him. But nonetheless, the man, just in his innate capacity and skill, was able to run rings around his white compatriots, his peers. He did very well athletically. He did very well intellectually. He was a youth journalist writing for newspapers up in Massachusetts. Yes. Before he graduated high school. Wow. Right? He was a community, let's say, a ward of his own community, because so many people saw his great potential across the racial constructions. Yes. That they wanted to invest in him, wanted him to do well. And although his first choice for getting his tertiary education was in one of those Ivy League spaces, he was discouraged and he went south, and based on that, he developed a whole ethos and knowledge of himself. Yes. And based on that knowledge, after he went to Germany, studied in Germany, history, he came back to Harvard. He's the first Black Ph.D. from Harvard in the United States, it is said. Yes. But when he went to Harvard, and from his own writings, he said he didn't care anymore about all this, what many of us attribute to him without full knowledge of him, because we believed him to be an integrationist and all of these kinds of things.
Yes.
Well, as a student at Harvard, he had no white friends from his own writing. He said he didn't care for that. He was now engrossed in learning about himself and finding out how now he could make a positive contribution to the elevation of this racial group which he's identifying with, to help to give form and structure to the evolution that was naturally going to take place, coming out of an emancipation ethos. Yes, an emancipation reality, an enslavement reality. He wanted to make that contribution. So what he started writing, in his early writings, you're talking about souls of black folks. You're talking about the Negro. An entire chapter in the Negro is about Egypt and Ethiopia. You're talking about his studies in Philadelphia on black social structures and black communities, and how enslaved people, the suppression of I mean, he has so much writings about blackness and black people based on how he was oriented and trained initially. And then once he's diving into these things, he started bridging away from the training and then becoming very critical of how the structures, including the governmental structures, how they exist, for what they exist, and how they function. So Dubois is an extraordinary talent among whom we only get one or two within generations.
Yes.
And based on his early years and evolution with his mother as an only child at that point, he grew up kind of aloof and not as linked into various spaces and places. And I've seen some scholars write of it as a criticism.
Yes.
And perhaps it's valid, but whatever is valid also has to be validated.
Yes.
You have some reason for it. And so I wanted to answer these questions. So I was looking all over his life and trying to see the why and when and where and how. So ultimately, his mission, as he defined it for himself, was to create structures. First, through the existing models, if there were any. And if not, then through his own creation of structures, which he is the one who coined and penned and registered the Pan-African movement in 1921. Giving it a constitution, giving it a whole scope of work, all of these things. He did structurally, so that there is the foundation for institutional development, right? That would now link the talents of our people from wherever they are, to link them into an agenda that empowers black mobility, upward mobility. Yes? So that was his whole mission. So when he's looking at Ethiopia, when he's looking at Jamaica, even with criticisms of the Right Honorable Marcus Garvey, it was all within the context of how do we do this to protect this emerging reality of black growth and development without the challenges that inevitably personalities will bring. And the only way we do that is through systems, principles, and organizational structures. Yes? And that was all he was about. So, I'm going to mix my response.
Yes.
Because you asked about if someone Google and look him up, what they should find. But what they'll find is an extraordinary human being who sacrifices entire work and life and potential simply to serve. Remember, as a first black Ph.D., yes, black people are not getting a lot of opportunities, but from where he originated in the eastern region of the United States, black people are doing much better than in the South. Yes. Far much better. Yet he decided to come south and to link a lot of the work in the Black South, and to not get any serious permanent work. The only permanent work he had was what he created for himself when he, along with others, created the NAACP, and before that there was an organization, the Niagara Movement, that they started evolved into the NAACP. And yes, white people were involved. Yes, different ethnic groups were involved. Yes, but that's another question and another conversation about how people became white, because many of these people, when they started in the early 20th century, late 19th century, they were not defined as white. That construction was not theirs automatically. It's on the shores of America that many people, got that as an identifier, and therefore started using it juxtaposed to being black. And so that those kind of divide and rule, black-white kind of divisions were created.
Stick a pin right there. We have Olorisha Creole 504 said W.E.B. Dubois concept of double consciousness. I want you to speak to that. He said double consciousness arises from the tension between an individual's true self and the way they are perceived by a society that often devalues them based on race. Can you speak to that concept of double consciousness as Du Bois wrote about it?
Oh, give thanks for the question or for the statement. I mean, it is true. He wrote about this and he framed it philosophically based on the black experience, but it's much deeper than the black experience. Yes, because if you look at it in terms of how people are socialized, for instance, the Christian faces a double consciousness all the time, because he's working in a secular world, and on Sunday has to put on his best or her best and go to church and try to lock out that consciousness, that conscious reality that they're a part of, trying to function within the world and not being part of it, but being off it, all that kind. It's the same thing, in other words. I'm trying to make it relevant to people who have these kinds of experiences. Yes. So in the context of blackness, as is defined in America, and that definition, by the way, is really becoming resonant in the era of Du Bois's Garvey's evolution.
Yes.
This is now what he's looking at, and he's saying, boy, you can imagine when you had your own community and you were living by yourself, that was well defined. You know what to do, you know what you're doing on a Monday all the way through, on a Sunday all the way through a Saturday. Yes? These are things that you know how to function, how to speak. You don't have to create an Ebonic system to talk because you're among your community. But once you have to go outside of the community to now work in the factories or work in whatever environments, you have to now put on the facade of that environment.
Yes.
But to link it now specifically to race, where there's a certain, let's say, not necessarily an expectation, but there, when you're chilling with Ras Wayne and you come and if whatever it is that we do when we come, we can't expose all of that, yeah?
Yes.
But when we're together, there's a different level of relaxation and chilling.
Yes.
That when you're in the office environment and you have to button down with a tie and you have to look a certain way and there's an expectation of that. Those are the things he's addressing. Because
double consciousness, yes.
Yes, because you have to be conscious at all times. Like I'm gonna say, you can't talk to me right now, man. But they are work. Yeah? Work is a conscious space, a space where specific things.
They call it code switching too.
So that's one of the newer terms that has come. But it's absolutely true. But when Du Bois is writing about this, he's focusing on the African Americans, people of the African hue, yes, within the fourth evolution or migratory patterns of Africans coming out of Africa and coming into spaces where they were disempowered. He's talking about how now, after you're emancipated and you're now engaged, brought into spaces as the evolution continues, you are now faced with that as a challenge. And you could imagine that challenge, sometimes you go mess up consciously and unconsciously, because in our subconscious self, we function just organically. But then when you have to put on, that is a facade. Yes? And it's still that double consciousness. You can call it all 5, you could give it 5, 10, no gradients, no, because I know some sisters I've spoken to, and this is a small deviation, but it is relevant for people to overstand it. Some people, they don't want to put on the hairstyle and the lipstick and the high heel and the whatever. But that is kind of like the expectation within the social environment, the work environment. Yes? Someone locks them here and says, boy, I can't locks because, you know, the workplace was not willing to accept them at that time. No, it has changed.
Yes, yes.
And all of these kinds of things. So that's how it was. But early, when he's writing about double consciousness, he's actually identifying the people who are now emancipated, said to be free to function within the American political, economic, and other social environments, that those environments that they leave their home to function within are very different from the communities within which they're coming.
Yes.
And everything your community offers to you is part of your consciousness. And everything that you share when you go outside and have to adapt to is what you have to adapt to. And that becomes a dualism in your consciousness.
In your consciousness. The next question I have for the eye, as a born Jamaican, comes from my beloved elder from St. Lucia, Bongo Wisely, who says, I have been taught that W.E.B. Du Bois was a betrayer of Marcus Garvey. Give thanks for the edification. And I know a lot of, Pan-African, because, yes, we go to Ghana, we know that he ended his life as an ardent Pan-Africanist, but a lot of the concept of Du Bois is that this is a man who does fight against Marcus Garvey, the talented tent, black elitism, and then the fact that him amongst all of these white people with the NAACP never helped him early image, So what does the eye say to this conceptualization? And you're already breaking down some of these stereotypes, but in terms of most Jamaicans would just look at Du Bois as Bongo wisely say, a betrayer, and I don't even think most of them know that he ended his life in Ghana, and that, the work that he did, the Pan-African Encyclopedia, all of this work that Du Bois was doing. How do you respond to those who and go into that schism? I put Garvey on the thumbnail because I know that we cannot talk about Du Bois without talking about Garvey. What was that schism about? Why, if Du Bois was such an ardent Pan-Africanist, even from his early days, did he take issue with Garvey and the critiques and all of these things? Give us that history.
Oh, give thanks for the question, my honorable brother, and give thanks, Bongo Wisely, for being the originator of the question or the sound. Bongo Wise is a beloved brother, so give thanks. We fall victim to how our socialization, how and where our socializations take place. And we victimize ourselves, we continue to victimize ourselves by remaining sometimes either in ignorance or in the comfort of the narratives that we learn. I too was within that school until I did this work. So, not everyone needs to do this work now that I've done it. So give thanks for the opportunity to share. So if anyone read Garvey, and I have read Garvey, the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the right honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I've read our most honorable leader extensively, and I'm proud of his Jamaican heritage. I'm proud of his black, unapologetic stance. I'm proud of what he has done in mobilizing our people toward a level of consciousness. By the way, that is one of the things that Amy Ashwood Garvey said about him. And, so I would start there just to create the caveat for others to feed into or feed from. Amy Ashwood Garvey, in a letter to W.E.B. Du Bois in the early 1940s, she said, listen, we need to work together. We're on the same agenda. We're on the same span of work. And I know how Garvey tongue is dangerous because I got a whipping from his tongue too. Yes? So just consider this. You are a leader within your community. And in your community, you control media, as was the case of W.E.B. Du Bois and the Right Honorable Marcus Garvey.
Yes.
You have a proud, rich heritage of work. W.E.B. Du Bois, first Black Ph.D. people, he has reverence, not because somebody gave him it, him earn it.
Yes.
Yes, and he remains busy. He's always lecturing, talking, doing something, getting the work done. Most Honorable Marcus Garvey is coming out of the Jamaican Caribbean experience and the colonial links with England, and is traveling, the Caribbean, and has established himself above par to anyone else in our region, and certainly coming into New York. One of the first things Garvey did was to personally deliver an invitation to Du Bois for his first lecture.
Okay.
He went to Du Bois' office. Du Bois was not at the office at the time, but he delivered it personally, and also asked if W.E.B. Du Bois could introduce him. Now Du Bois was not available to do that. And it's like someone coming to your office as an attorney now, and no disrespect to anyone and any status.
Yes.
Yes, but your earning power comes through your time and availability of time.
Yes. Yes.
When you're a lecturer and you're a professor, it's the similar kind of thing. It's just not law. So it's not, when it's an unknown, person to you. It's like, I don't know what a virgin is. It's okay, man. It's cool. Put it there, But the person will take it personally.
Okay.
Yes, boy, I'm gonna link the man, and the man they've linked me.
Yes.
I've heard that, by the way, so many times about other attorneys. I have attorneys in my family. Yes. Yes. Sometimes I will get a call.
Yes. Yes.
For a message. It wasn't like that back then.
Yes.
So Most Honorable Marcus Garvey reaches out to Du Bois to attend this lecture, but not just attend, to introduce him. And it's like, I am imagining, because there's nothing written about it.
Yes, of course, of course.
He was not available. He was not there, not available, did not attend. How Du Bois would take that is like, I don't know the bridge. It's okay, man. It's fine. How Garvey would take that probably is very personal.
Yes.
Right? Du Bois was also invited by the Most Honorable Marcus Garvey to join the UNIA.
Okay.
The UNIA is registered in the United States in 1918. Yes? Or thereabouts.
Yes, yes.
And no, by 19 it's well established. But W.E.B. Du Bois in 1906 started the Niagara movement, and by 1910 has established, along with others, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Yes.
An organization that is very much involved in and very committed to running the journalistic arm of it.
Yes.
The crisis.
Yes.
So by the time our Most Honorable Marcus Garvey comes from Jamaica into the United States, with our socialization in the Caribbean, which is very different. Let us not fool ourselves or lie to people.
Yes.
Our notion of white and black is very different, because in Jamaica, Du Bois would be seen as a white man based on his complexion.
Yes.
Them white Jamaicans, some of them, I remember a friend of mine, wherever he is now, he was one of the twits back in the 80s when I was an accountant at KPMG, Pete Marwick. He and I used to roll. His family were the twits.
Yes.
This man know about Garvey more than I before I don't even know so much about Garvey. And you look at him, you think he's a white man.
Yes, yes.
His mother was jet black and beautiful. Very beautiful. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
However, in the context of our socialization in Jamaica, we look at him like that. But this man and him talking, is be black as him talking. And I hear some music with it. I said, what to that? But colorism is part of our social structure. Yes, it's across the Americas too. But
Yes.
racism was more the American theory. One
Yes.
drop rule and all of this kind of thing. In Jamaica, we just see and classify them in one way. So I'm saying that to say the way how, even though Dubois was representing blackness, by his shunning, perhaps unintentionally, of the Right Honorable Marcus Garvey, by his way he socialized as being a little aloof and standoffish, and however people describe him,
Mm-hmm.
it created the impetus, or it created a formulation for disagreements and tensions among the brothers.
Yes.
All right? To make matters worse, as Du Bois is writing, because he's looking at all things black in the crisis, that's all he's doing. And by the way, as is referenced in the book, he was writing about Ethiopia from him start the crisis. From one of the first editorials he did in the crisis was on Ethiopia. So by the time when he met with the Ethiopian commissioners, and when he sent a whole package to Emperor Haile Selassie I, he sent bounded copies of the articles he wrote about Ethiopia to edify Black Americans about their responsibilities towards Ethiopia and perhaps collaborations that could take place between them.
Mm.
But having done all of that, having that kind of narrative and life experience, you know, he wrote to Garvey, Most Honorable Marcus Garvey, and asked Garvey for a biopic on his life and work and on the organization of the UNIA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how are things financed? What's the kind of balance sheets and these kinds of things? He was asking for transparency then, because he's saying this is one of the ways the system is going to undermine us.
Yes.
And we don't want our leadership to be undermined, because they will represent the whole thing, not the person, but the whole race as being complicit in any shortcomings or anything. So he's saying, here's my platform, which is read by everybody. I mean, within, not to say every person, but
yes,
you're moving these.
The black world, it was the preeminent platform in the black world.
Yes. He's saying, give me a biopic on your life and on the organization you are running, including how you get funding, how the funding is utilized, etc., so forth. The Right Honorable Marcus Garvey did respond with a biopic on himself.
Mm-hmm.
Very, you know, very detailed and exalting. Yes, rightly so, by the way.
Yes.
But on the organization. So just consider yourself to be the Bois and I to be the Right Honorable Honorable Marcus Garvey. And you get that from me. The first thing you know is that there's an absence of anything on the organization, which is what you're really interested in.
Yes.
Secondarily, you see it perhaps as, so why wouldn't give me this? Where my hide? What is being hidden?
Yes.
And therefore, based on that and the further shunning to address any of that, Du Bois also said, this man is dangerous. And he actually wrote about it.
Wow.
Yes. But before that, the quarrel started in other little sniping ways, because it's the people. And this is why we must stop this, people. Our people must stop this, because it was done. And, you know, people fan the flames. Journalists and other people who want to see us divided keep fanning these flames, and people buy into it. All of us say we're leaving out of Babylon, but we are so Babylonian because we buy into what Babylon sells.
Uh-huh.
And therefore, you had members of the UNIA doing things. This is in the history written by members of the UNIA. So I'm not attacking an organization that I love and respect.
Yes.
But you had people who were now undermining other groups of people, including people who were aligned to what some people now call the Black Bully and all different kinds of labels and
yes.
things, right? That feeds into the divide and rule
strategy.
Behavior, strategy.
Yes.
That diminishes our leadership, because His Majesty said to us, family, from time to time, brothers and sisters will have some disagreement.
Of course.
Yes, and it can get a little hot too.
Of course.
Yes, but let us not make that the whole platform of their lives. Their lives are greater and deeper than that. And I might never want to talk to you again, but it don't mean I don't love you. I just don't like being around you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And we can agree to disagree.
Of course.
You know?
But it just is not that simple either, because I just heard somebody in my heavens say, boy, you make it a simplistic kind of approach. I had to do it because it's much deeper, very deep.
Okay.
Right? Because Dubois is connected to all different kinds of people, and most of us don't know how he was dealing with those people. But I'll give you one instance. For instance, in 1934, by 1934, Dubois puts out an article. Remember, this is in the Great Depression era.
Yes.
And, you know, FDR is doing extraordinary things, trying to get people back to work and pumping money all different kind of places. And Dubois is saying, you know what? It's best for black people to separate themselves from this nonsense. Not being part of the farmers' co-op and collective, but being independent black farmers. So you can get your own money to run your own stuff.
Yes.
Make your own plans without the scrutiny of big brother oversight, etc.
Yes.
So he wrote an article within the caption of it was separation. So he wanted to be separate. Yes? And was encouraging African Americans to separate themselves. Even though, as we say, many people view him as an integrationist, this is part of his legacy too. He was a separatist.
Yeah.
Yes? And was kicked out of, in fact, he wasn't kicked out of the NAACP at the time. He resigned because the board said he should retract the article. And he said, not on my living goodie. Yes, he says, the one thing I have done from I've started this crisis, this magazine, is that I have written my conscience, I have been very transparent, and I don't take dictates from anyone. Yes? So this is what I believe is right for the race, for the people, and I'm going to hold that line. Yes? And in fact, since it is so offensive to y'all, I'm just going to resign. And they took his resignation. He did resign. He did step away from it, from the NAACP and the crisis, and his only economic vehicle at the time. You can imagine, you know, he's a Ph.D., first Ph.D. who don't have a job anymore.
Okay.
Cannot get one automatically. Yes? But he stepped away from that on principle alone. Because this is what he believed. Yes? So, you know, ultimately, these are similarities that you have to see within the Garvey Dubois, the dynamic. But personally and personality-wise, they were very different.
Yeah, they didn't get along.
Yes, and they wrote, the Right Honorable Garvey had his own newspaper, and he wrote very critically and harshly about Du Bois. So it was tit for tat. But then other people go ahead and talk about Du Bois setting up Garvey. So there was a movement against Garvey. Yes? And just imagine if you come to Ras Wayne when him really chanting fire.
Yes.
And you ask him a question about a bird, you know, him under some fire with. Yes?
Yes.
He probably says something about that. Say, yeah, man, the man, the two dangerous birds, and the man for going.
Yeah.
Yeah? So,
yes.
But he was never part of the Never Garvey movement or Garvey Must Go Home movement, whichever labels they utilized.
Yes.
So a whole group of people wanted him to be deported. Du Bois was not one of them.
Okay.
But he did have an opinion of how he saw the Garvey movement. Because as with many of our organizations, and let us be honest, 100 years later or earlier, because we're in the early periods now, we still have challenges with our organizational structures.
Of course.
We still have challenges with our transparency. We still have challenges with our accountability. Yes? And it makes us less than capable of really making the billions that my right honorable brother Chris Kaler says that should just be automatic with us.
Yes.
Because we have the formulas, we have the skill sets, but we just lack either the due diligence or something that allows us really to make the thing burst at it seems.
Yes.
Yes. So the Garvey movement was equally challenged because, you know, the right honorable, rightly so, required loyalty from his followers, from the people who were in his administration.
Mm-hmm.
And let us be also candid. As we celebrate him today, we must learn from his life, because in his life, as his master says about even himself, is that you're prone to make errors.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so in his human reality, it was not all perfect.
Yes.
And I'm sure if he had a chance to do a redo on some of the things he did organizationally back there, which was extraordinary, but some of the little things, the nuts and bolts that keep the thing together, he would have done them.
Of course. And we know in hindsight that he was infiltrated. You know,
but we're always infiltrated. That is not. In fact, most people prepare themselves for that.
Yes.
Socially, you have to just prepare yourself for the infiltration because it comes sometimes inadvertently and sometimes not consciously, right? Because, for instance, you think all the people working in some of these non-profit organizations across the world spreading mischief, you think that they go in with the notion that they're going to spread mischief and disinformation. Sometimes they're fed a narrative and they're just doing it because it's their job.
It's true.
Yes, and so I have a level of empathy sometimes for people who are just lambs to the slaughter, or they are leading people to the slaughter unknowingly, unwittingly. Yes, so, you know, people came into the Garvey movement, infiltrated and did extraordinary damage, but it was not damaged up to the point of the most honorable challenges. Yes, we know some of the things that even, you know, the exoneration that just or is a pardoning actually that took place recently. U.S. president, very belated, very challenged. We went through all of that in 2013. I don't know if you remember.
Yes,
when we were taking the advocacy through the White House, and they tell I have to pull down my article because it's going to challenge a particular president at the time and his attorney general.
Yes.
Who said some extraordinarily positive things about that. And when I wrote about that, people in our own community said I should pull it down. These are the kinds of things that people, based on their own framing and understanding of themselves and self-import, do that hurt the legacy and forward trajectory of our movement. Yes? So, you know, the most honorable Marcus Garvey did good. Dubois did good. And their lessons must be reconciled. Their work must be reconciled for the good of our growth and humanity. Because it was not just about blackness, as it is about blackness, but it's about the foundation of humanity, which is African in all of its glory. Yes? So, yeah, they had some challenges, my brother, to the question, and I know you're going through other things, but they were not irreconcilable. It's just that is a man I said, well, listen, I'm not going to deal with Virginia. And I'm going to cuss out a man and it, you know, your fans or your, you see, Bounty, I mean, it's not Bounty, but the Gaza, what they had a place name?
Gully Gaza.
Gully Gaza. It's the same kind of thing.
Yes.
You have people carried over that in a Virgin.
I know, but what I'd also draw a parallel is, you know, we see this vibration with FBA and diaspora. You know, they call it the diaspora wars now. the FBA, you have Black Americans say we are delineating ourselves from the rest of Black people because Black people come to America, take the benefits we fought for, and then they treat us like we trash and tell us that we're lazy and these things, which there is some truth to that. But because I'm starting to see it even on my platform, I had to put a bridging on pause even today. Coming, I'm
What
FBA.
is SDA, you said?
FBA, Foundation of Black American. That is,
no, man.
yeah.
All of these things, those are the things, my honorable brother.
Yes.
I give thanks for mentioning it because I'm watching some of it too, and we know these are what you sow as seeds.
Yes.
Actions, right? And ultimately destruction, because people get so vested in these narratives that they fight over it and they're arguing, and every day that's all they're about.
Exactly.
Where there's some serious work to be done. The work of the Right Honorable Marcus Garvey needs to be completed. The work of the Honorable W.E.B. Dubois needs to be completed. In other words, we need to take the baton and run with it, not within the notion that someone is framing for us, but with some clarity. So all you get clarity now is to go to the foundational things, and this is why the book becomes critical.
Yes, yes.
What the book exposes is that at the foundation of the Boys, no matter what you think about him, is Ethiopia. At the foundation of W.E.B. Du Bois, no matter what you think of him, was reverence to Emperor Haile Selassie I. At the foundation of the Boys was the pointing to all people of the African hue and the African energy, to say you must learn from, this is your legacy, this is where you come from, this is what you must contribute to in order for you to be a verdant, peaceful, and developed humanity. Yes? And that is what we must take away, so that we don't get caught up into the politics of personality.
And tribalism, that divide and rule is the only plan that works. So, I tell the ones then when they come on this platform with that divisive rhetoric that we don't have time for it over here. We've seen that play out so many times, and it leads nowhere. You know what I mean? It don't lead nowhere. If it led somewhere, that's one thing. But we know that dividing is just to rule over the pieces. You know what I mean? I have a brethren here, Floyd Jarvis, said, let Ras Wayne know that I took over from Queen Mother Moses in the prison chaplaincy, and I'm using his work, Your Majesty's obedient servant. And we haven't, I don't know if you know the brethren, Floyd Jarvis, powerful brethren. But we didn't even talk about your work in the prison. I'm going to have to bring you forward because we're approaching the 10 o'clock hour. I have a hard stop tonight because I'm going to a welcome reception. But I want the item know that, yes, we're approaching 50,000 subscribers here. Yes, we've been here 3 years doing this work, but I haven't even started bringing forward people women know. May I tell the item, we have a whole heap of people. Ras Wayne will return. We didn't touch the Elder Medical Project. Today we're talking about his book, but there's a whole heap of works, and the brethren live in Ethiopia. The brethren has, traveled through the Caribbean. There's a whole heap of testimony and reasoning. But how I want to seal this particular reasoning is because I think it's so instructive how Du Bois ends up, and you can tie it into his being an obedient servant of His Majesty, because he ends up in Ghana. He ends up leaving America. He ends up fulfilling. Because remember, Garvey didn't even touch the African continent, so Du Bois ends up fulfilling the same vision. So they had their disagreements, but at the end, we see that alignment. You know what I mean? And if you ever go to Ghana, you can visit his burial place, his office. You can see, and the brethren was fluent in Russian, and I mean, he was a genius, and all of, a lot of his writings are in Ghana. He was working on a Pan-African encyclopedia. So how we started, as Ras Wayne would say, championing Ethiopia is really how he seals up. So I want you to bring everything together and show that alignment, and then also let people know where they can support the book. I have the link in the description of this video. So if you go in the description, you'll see Ras Wayne bio, and right under the bio, you'll see the link to the Amazon. But yeah, bring it all home to us together, final summation, and show how this division really ends up in a unification.
Oh, give thanks again, and give thanks for the opportunity. We have not pushed very strongly on the book because I know everything is timely. But I wrote 13 takeaways, as 13 is our month.
Yes.
Ethiopian calendar, and one of the most powerful numbers within the ethos of our people. I took 13 important takeaways from the book that I'd like just to share with people,
yes,
so that they could, whet your appetite a little bit. So the first contact with Ethiopians is in 1930. July 23rd, 1930 is when Dubois was formally introduced to Kantiba Gabru and Malaku Bain by what they call Elaine Locke at Howard University. And this was the direct link to His Majesty initially, because His Majesty was using these young students as student commissioners, not in the office of a diplomat, which has to be managed by the State Department, but as young people now who are students on a student visa coming to study, but doing the diplomatic work that would usurp the oversight of Big Brother, of the state.
Yeah.
Yes? So they were tasked with going around and linking leaders within the Pan-African movement, leaders within the Black American space, so that Ethiopia could benefit from the educational structures, the political narratives, etc. Right? The things that would allow for the dynamism of the modern Ethiopian state to be linked to the family, the grandchildren abroad. Yes?
Yes, I.
So when he met with the Ethiopians, they were asking for some very specific things. The book will give you full detail, but I'll just give you a couple of what.
Yes. Go through the 13 points. Give us the 13 points.
Well, I'm giving you the 13 points. So the commissioners, as I tell you, is Kentiba Gabru, who ultimately was the mayor of Addis Ababa, but certainly did a lot of extraordinary work. And Malaku Bain, everybody knows he's the one who started the Ethiopian World Federation. Well, these are the two that went in and they built a relationship. In fact, when Malaku Bain passed, it's Dubois who wrote one of the most moving tributes to him.
Okay.
They were, he was publishing and republishing the crisis and using it to edify Ethiopians, because that's part of the mission. Wanting to learn from Dubois so that he can share that with Ethiopians, and Dubois wanting to learn from him so that he could share with Black Americans the legacy and history of Ethiopia. Dubois' developmental vision in meeting with Malaku Bain and Kantiba Gabru, he also met with Ras Emru, as I would know, who was now the diplomat in Washington, D.C. In fact, Dubois went to Ethiopia.
Okay.
But he didn't fly on a plane to get there. He was in the embassy of Ethiopia.
Okay.
Where he met with Ras Emru.
Okay.
Right? And had extraordinary discussions. By the way, after Dubois met with Ras Emru, just so that you know, and people talk about Dubois and all different negative things, after that, the State Department made sure that they embarrassed Ras Emru by kicking him out of a meeting, a building for diplomats. Yes? As a sign to say, Bridget, if you ever meet with a man there again, run you out of the place. And then they said, oh, it was an over enthusiastic guard that acted out of place. But it's because he met with Dubois, and these are all parts of the writing that is there. Right? So the vision that he shared was to ensure that Black Americans could get some key positions in Ethiopia, in the Ethiopian government. You know that even Emperor Menelik was seeking at some point advocacy, or through Emperor Zauditu, not Emperor Menelik, sorry, but through the work of Rastafari, who is now acting like the foreign minister or prime minister of Ethiopia under the empire, right? He sent 1919, there was a delegation of people who they handled, and those people were not free to move around. So that's how we learned to make sure that he's using something else, some other approach. Yes, but based on that level of work and engagement, Ethiopia had made offers to Black Americans, so they could come and get 3 months vacation, they get a car, get a driver, they get a full salary commensurate with what your earnings would be in America. All of this were things that Dubois was aware of and is now using it as a tool for recruitment. Bridget, if I should tell you, there are some things that were not quite exposed.
Yes.
But Dubois became really an operative for Ethiopia in the United States. When we talk about Colonel Robinson, it's him who recruited him for go fly for Ethiopia, boss.
Okay.
Yes.
Put it together.
That is in the book.
Hot.
Right? And you see the relationship and you see how that comes into being. That is all there.
Hot.
Yes. So, and then you had communications between him and another brother, Virgin, who called himself Ras, but was living in Italy.
Yes.
Who the Virgin is saying, if you don't get communications from, and Malako Bain said the same thing, by the way, but this brother is very well labeled. In fact, I have a whole chapter dealing with him and his relationship with the boys. He's saying, if you don't hear from His Majesty, it's because him can't talk directly to the eye. We use this now. We want you to be the man who do this for Ethiopia. Now, mind you, it never worked as well because remember, the boys face a challenge of language. He faced a challenge of sometimes what and how Ethiopians view the diplomatic order and approach ought to be. So when he became a pariah, Ethiopia had to move away from him with direct communication. So there were some challenges, but in any case, it was for economic and professional empowerment goals that the Ethiopians sought, and he was pushing toward for Black Americans, African Americans with Ethiopia. Educational cultural initiatives, he recruited African American teachers and professionals. His advice influenced national educational policy because he actually, when Malako Bain and Kantiba Gabriel came to him and talked to him, they asked him for a whole list of things that His Majesty wanted him to be involved in. And he gave some suggestions, so he wrote a whole, and all of this is listed in the book. Everything that he believed that Ethiopia would benefit from, including what we call it when you deal with metals and mining.
Okay, metallurgy.
Yes, and your economic policies, your monetary policies, your banking policy, all of that. Even though Ethiopia already had a strong banking system, His Majesty was always looking to replace those people who were now running it, many of them coming out of Europe. There was no malice. He just wanted to empower his nation.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why he wanted to empower his nation in that way, this is a takeaway that if you don't take away anything else, Dubois wrote this about His Majesty. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, the reason why Rastafari was crowned Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia is because Ethiopia is Black. In fact, the paraphrasing is not complete because he said the reason why he's Emperor of Ethiopia and not Emperor of Abyssinia is because Ethiopia is Black. And if nobody knows what Abyssinia means mixed.
Yes.
Yes? And in fact, some people call it mongrel. Yes? And so His Majesty was now telegraphing a narrative to the world. And Dubois is exposing this early, very early, saying, this is the Black King for all of us. Because he's saying Ethiopia has historically meant Black. Even in whether it's the Quran or wherever, the Bible, where Ethiopia is mentioned, it has always represented Blackness.
Yes.
And he's saying, I'm not just emperor, of the country or the empire, Ethiopia. I'm the emperor of people who come from this hue and come from this.
Burnt face,
So,
his face.
yes, man, it's hot. He tied African Americans to Ethiopian history and told them that without it you cannot progress successfully. Right? He anchored his Pan-Africanism into Ethiopia. He's saying this is the throne room for Pan-Africa, not scattered all over the place. But it must be Ethiopia that we look to for not just reverence, but for leadership at the time. His public advocacy during the Italian invasion was beyond par because he was very aggressively criticizing Mussolini.
Yes.
Even when the American government was turning its other cheek or turning the other eye or ignoring it, and the rest of Europe ignored it, he was very strong in his criticism anywhere he went, and he went a lot of places, not just in America. He was criticizing very strongly. Yes, and his stance for the emperor was unapologetic. He didn't criticize, not even once, the emperor.
What?
He acknowledged that the emperor had a hard task because at some point the Italians declared that this is their empire, part of their empire, Ethiopia.
Yes.
But it's hard, but he said, you know what? This man is trying his best. He became like an advisor to Malako Bey and a partner in many ways, looking at him as like a son, giving him the strength and the courage to establish, for instance, the Ethiopian Research Council. We know about Leo Hansberry and others who were part of this. Well, Malako Bey was one of the founders, and it's Dubois who encouraged that. In fact, it's Dubois who encouraged Leo Hansberry to go do his master's so that he could step up with the work, the great work that he did in languages, etc., Ethiopic languages. Yes? He established cultural or sought to establish cultural exchanges that would allow for mutual knowledge systems to be shared. And his influence on Ethiopian scholarship, figures like Malako Bey and William Hansberry, who co-founded the Ethiopian Research Council, were mentored and or supported by W.E.B. Du Bois. Hansberry later received the Haile Selassie First Peace Prize, the first one for a black man in America.
Yes.
For promoting Ethiopian and African cultures, all because of the work of W.E.B. Du Bois and his love for Ethiopia and his long-term commitment despite obstacles even in his later years. So to bookend this in reality, first letter to Emperor Haile Selassie I, 1930, after he met with the Ethiopian Youth Commissioners. Yes. Then in 1962, when he's 94, the year before he transitioned, he wrote another letter to the Majesty. And you know what that letter was saying?
What?
He's saying, man, I salute you because I see you following, I'm paraphrasing by the way, I see you following the policies that I suggested that you followed in 1930. Where His Majesty was now saying to the newly independent African nations, don't trust the European monetary system because they're going to bankrupt you. And that was direct advice that Du Bois had given in 1930 to Malako Bey and Kantiba Gabru. So bookending it and just overstanding the legacy of the man is an important legacy that we fail sometimes to overstand and to acknowledge, but ultimately everyone ought to know who Farai is and who the workers, the real workers, the ones who have done the work, including our most honorable Marcus Garvey, to empower our strength in the legacy. But when we complement these two, we get a full picture. We get a complete picture. Let us not then go with the divide and rule mindset that has been passed on to us. And we say, but me know, I've had people who froth at their mouth talking to me. Froth at their mouth how angry they are with Du Bois. And I'm saying, why are you so angry, Bridging, about a man transition over 60 years ago? And you don't know enough about him. But I know, sir, him and this other man sell him out. And I said, my brother, let me share a few things. He was not willing to learn. And therefore, those who will not learn from history or people who are the historians who do the research, they're going to regurgitate the narratives that people want them to regurgitate. And our people stay in the condition of disempowerment simply because we buy somebody else's goods, which is not about us.
Hard.
Let us then overstand ourselves and understand that this legacy is to be built. We don't reach nowhere yet, even though we've achieved a great deal. Let us keep building and let us salute those as His Majesty. Another thing, just to let you know, in 1962, when His Majesty was at a Pan-African event in Addis Ababa, celebrating the leaders of Pan-Africa, he made mention of W.E.B. Dubois as one to be celebrated, just in case the Rastafari community need to have more icening. His Majesty talked about the man also, made mention of him the year before him passed. Remember
that? I just want to say this because this was written earlier and then you came and said the same thing. Lep, who I love Lep comments. He's a regular commenter. He recently has appeared, and big up yourself, Lep. I love your comments. But Lep says the boys wrote to him thanking him for warning Africa not to become dependent upon loans from Europe and America.
Indeed.
So we remind our brother Traore that Russia is Eastern Europe. We're not going to go into Traore, but I will bring forward Ras Wayne so we can have a more, because we're just scratching the surface. As you can see, we're time constrained. I have to run downtown to this reception, so we have a hard stop. But this was an epic one. I've learned, I didn't know a lot of this information, and I'm the reading Ras, so I'm going to buy the book. I haven't bought my brother book yet, but I'm going to buy it and read it. So I'm telling Lion Pride, we're almost 50,000 strong, and I told the item my vision. If every person in the Lion Pride was to spend $10 with a guest, that would be $500,000 right there. So, you know what I mean? So we have power, and I want us to harness that power economically. Yes, we love the brethren. He came and he gave his sound, but how can we now harness the economics? I know hundreds of people will watch this. Let's at least get 100 people purchasing the book. So when I bring the brethren forward, the item can ask questions after having read the book. So I'm imploring the global Lion Pride family, read the book, join the Patreon. Let us come off of the fence. Let us not be passive observers to this Armageddon struggle. Economic tools, His Majesty said, to fight the things that confront us. It's economic tools that are going to be very critical to our liberation. And most of us don't have the wagga money, but we have a $5, we have a $10, we have a $20 that pass through our hands that we can direct to a one doing the work and empower that one. And in return, we just ask that those ones employ other ones and liberate other ones, and we circulate that money among ourselves. And in this way, we are assured of the victory. So I want to thank the I on behalf of the Lion Pride family for the I, outlining. I know the I brilliant, and I'm glad to the global family get a chance to hear from the I. I'm gonna try to get your big brother on this platform too, the legal colleague. But yeah, man, this was great. And family, again, if I didn't have the hard time, this would have been one of the 3-hour episodes, but I have to run. So I'm asking everyone, run to the description, click on the Amazon link and buy the book. Why? Because the time has come for the lions to tell our own story. And you heard the man tell his own story. We're crashing the narrative of divide and rule between Black Americans, between Caribbean, between Africans. We are crashing that narrative on the Lion Voice Network. One people, one other. The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion's Voice.
Give thanks. Love, love, love.
Time has come for lions to tell our own story. Yes, you're listening to Lion's Voice. And I is Ras Dr. hailing from the island of St. Croix. Yeah, man, bring it to your Rastafari vibes. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Babylon born when Rasta come together. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Because Babylon done when I and I come together. Look how we live together, look how we work together, Oh, Babylon done when Rasta come together. Haile Rastafari, His Majesty and Empress men and blessed. Yeah man, hailing from St. Croix, Ras Dr. hail you.
Aye.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega, representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, yeah. Them fully guard up and them quick fi execute, yeah. Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, yeah. The one will laugh, I'm same one of the shooter. Watching them, this is Rastafari representing for the Lion Voice Network. This is the time when the lion gets to tell our own story. HaileSelassieI.
I'm Nana Farika. The time has come for the lioness to tell her story from her viewpoint and tell the world who Queen Omega is. This is the lion's voice.
Greetings, this is Rastafari. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See? This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Rastafari said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. I'm all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.